Happy weekend, bedcrimers. T here with a bedcrime bite. New information on the Bryan Kohberger case. 3 new documents were released past week, and they talk about the materials from the grand jury proceedings that took place in May of 2023, and that led ultimately to Bryan Kohberger's indictment. The 3 documents talk about which materials from the grand jury proceedings will be released and to whom they will be released. Through reading the 3 documents, we can see that the prosecution and Kohberger's defense team came to an agreement about which parts of the grand jury transcript and records will be released to both the prosecution and Kohberger's defense team. Bottom line, it's been decided that both the state, aka the prosecution, and Kohberger's defense team will obtain a copy of the grand jury transcript and record, along with items listed on a separate exhibit called Exhibit A. However, the grand jury transcript will be redacted, meaning some of the information will be blackened out, and the state and the defense must keep these materials confidential. They cannot share anything with the media or the public. The state and defense, however, can share certain portions of the grand jury transcript and record with their own investigators, their own hired experts, and with witnesses who testified during the grand jury. But none of those individuals may disclose any of the materials or information they are privy to anyone else. And as for that 3rd item, which is called Exhibit A, that will be shared with the defense and the prosecution, but it will remain under seal, meaning it cannot be released to anyone else. And one section of the grand jury transcript will not be shared with anyone, not with the defense and not with the prosecution. And that is the grand jurors' deliberation, meaning their discussions after all the evidence was presented and all the witnesses testified. During their deliberations, the jurors came to the agreement to indict or charge Bryan Kohberger with 4 counts of first-degree blank and 1 count of burglary. One of the reasons the court will not release the grand jury deliberations is because they want to keep the names of the grand jurors confidential, so nobody gets to see the grand jury deliberations. Now, the witnesses who testified during the grand jury will only be allowed to see the portion of the redacted grand jury transcript that contains his or her own testimony. So each witness can only see the portions of the transcript that contains their own testimony. They cannot see what other witnesses testified to. More about that Exhibit A that will remain sealed. It was the state, meaning the prosecution, that filed the document asking that Exhibit A be sealed. And the reasons they listed for this are: 1, they said it would interfere with enforcement proceedings. 2, it would deprive a person of a right to a fair trial or an impartial adjudication, meaning an impartial jury. So they're saying if Exhibit A were made public, it would deprive Kohberger of a fair trial by an impartial jury. 3, it would constitute unwarranted invasion of personal privacy. 4, it would disclose the identity of a confidential source. And 5, it would disclose investigative techniques and procedures. Let's go back to reason number 4. Exhibit A needs to be kept confidential because it would reveal a confidential source. That's very interesting. Who is this confidential source? Could it be someone who witnessed the crime, or maybe witnessed the perpetrator after the crime was committed? And because they say confidential, I don't think they mean Dylan Mortensen. She's the survivor who saw the masked man. Could that be someone who was at or near the crime scene house when the crime occurred? Could it be someone from Kohberger's family who saw something damning when he went home for the holidays? No one except the state and now the defense will know. This confidential witness information is going to lead to a lot of speculation, I'm sure. The state and the defense will also be allowed to see the juror questionnaires that were used to pick the jurors for the grand jury. Bryan Kohberger's defense team has been saying for some time now that they need to see all these materials from the grand jury because they're planning on challenging the grand jury indictment of their client. Well, now they're going to get it. It should be interesting to see what happens next. So far, Bryan Kohberger's trial is scheduled for October of 2023. Stay tuned. Until the next time on Bed Crime Stories, I hope you guys are having a great weekend so far. Stay safe, relax, and I'll see you next time. Hey, smash that like button.